Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today. That had to be the softest chop to open up a video, and the reason for that is because Obsidian, the golden child of the video game industry, has angered quite a bit of people. So we're going to be going into all of that today and why they may have made this decision. Let's get started with how it all came to be, which is via the social media platform known as Twitter. They put out a tweet saying, "Our partners at Epic Games have announced that The Outer Worlds will be coming to the Epic Games Store at launch alongside the Windows Store. It will be released on other digital platforms 12 months later. The Outer Worlds will still release on Xbox and PS4 on launch." It seems like there's been controversy after controversy surrounding the Epic Games Store, whether it's on the company's end when they decide to actually partner up with Epic, like in the case of Metro Exodus, where it was very close to the launch of the game, or when it comes to Epic themselves, as they have been accused of basically being spyware and accessing private Steam user data. Simply put, this is a monetary decision only. I'm going to get into why exactly Obsidian had made this choice. Let's start off by taking a look at the released roadmap for this game, because I think it's very integral to Obsidian's decision, since Steam already has mod support, but we also see that the Epic Games Store within the next 4 to 6 months plans to add mod support for their games to their store. So to me, I find that a bit of a silver lining, that at least if they are allying with a game store, that they know they're going to get that mod support, which will be integral for the post-launch of this game, since Obsidian has said they are looking into it. I was very nervous originally when I saw the 1-year exclusivity deal, that when it launched we wouldn't get mods until a year later. At least that is something we can rest assured that we will be receiving, albeit it's probably a bit tough, and I don't think mod integration is as easy as Epic is making it out to be. Furthermore, though, let's get into why Obsidian made this decision and why it personally frustrates me quite a bit. Now, if we look at the revenue splits between Steam and the Epic Games Store, we can see that Steam clearly needs some work. They're doing, for the Unreal Engine 4 titles, a 65-35 split. But for Unity on Steam, there is a 70-30 split. Now, if you look it up, Obsidian has already confirmed to folks that The Outer Worlds is being developed on the Unreal Engine 4. So now we can get accurate data on what splits Obsidian was faced with. We have a 65-35 split on Steam, or an 88-12 split on the Epic Games Store. On top of that, Epic does pay companies cash up front for the exclusivity on their storefront, so we also have to keep that in mind there, on top of the revenue splits and additional bonuses that will be coming to the platform over time. A lot of people are upset because Obsidian, like I said, is the golden child in this industry. Everyone loves them, they do no wrong, and I love Obsidian too, you guys know that, but this is why I always tell people don't get attached to companies, because at the end of the day, they are businesses and they're going to do things like this, and they don't care. Even as consumer friendly as Obsidian is, and even though they are making a game that I am still incredibly excited for, this is stuff that will happen because at the end of the day, they cannot exist without money. And if they can increase how much money they're going to make by 23%, they are going to do so every single time. That's such a drastic difference for so many companies that it's a no-brainer. And we can see that type of deal is working out because Ubisoft has already extended their partnership with the Epic Games Store when they did exclusivity for The Division 2, which didn't seem to really harm that game too much. They did it 2 months ahead of launch. People were aware of this change, and on top of that, The Division 2 is receiving a lot of praise, although I don't know if it's just from console players and not PC players. To me, what I find most frustrating about this whole ordeal is less that Obsidian's chasing the money. Like I said, I personally have the understanding that they're a business and they're gonna do what's best for them. I feel like it's the refusal to learn from companies of all sides, and that no one is seeing the situation and going, okay, maybe we can wait a little bit. In Obsidian's case, it's very specific. You were just bought out by Microsoft. You have the financial safety net beneath you. I'm not saying that you create without fear by any means. You are still a company and you still have to bring in some type of money in order to justify being around for Microsoft. I get that. But once again, they bought you for you to make games for their consoles exclusively into the future. So to me, I find it strange that for your next release coming up, that you would do another exclusivity deal with a separate company. And the reason why this exclusivity thing is such an issue is because not only what I mentioned earlier about potential spyware being on your computer, but on top of that, the Epic Game Store is not feature complete. There are security issues. It's very easy to get your account hacked. And I think for a lot of consumers, it symbolizes the greed of some companies as they chase dollar symbols versus a feature complete platform like Steam. But back to my original point about companies not learning, it's Steam not learning that they need to up their splits to compete with Epic so that this issue can stop instead of playing the blame game. It's up to companies to discern what situations are happening in our industry and learning from them. You see what happened to Metro, a game that came out, and while I don't think it was the best one ever, I personally liked Last Light quite a bit more. Metro Exodus is still a great game, but all you heard about that game was how it was on the Epic Game Store and screw Deep Silver. When the game came out, it got its solid reviews, and that was it. The game really didn't sell all that well. That was the end of the story, and no one looked at that and said, you know, that can really hurt a game, can it? Obsidian, I feel, has built themselves on legacy, having games come out and be playable for years and years and years and making good PR moves and good consumer-friendly moves. And I'm not saying they're the perfect company, but they were built in this specific image, and what their action is doing betrays that image. Like I said, it's a lack of perspective, a lack of thought, and learning from the decisions other companies around you are making. I don't blame them in the sense because there is so much more money coming into their pocket, and this does mean that come their next game, which will likely be an Xbox exclusive, it should be one of those humongous AAA titles. That seems to be the area Obsidian is pushing for. I just find it very strange that a company that is now under Microsoft has also accepted an exclusivity deal with Epic, and they're also going to the Microsoft store, but let's be honest, that's just as bad and worthless. The one thing I will say in a positive manner is we don't have a release date yet for The Outer Worlds. It's not like this is catching us off guard. If you have pre-ordered it, you can either cancel it now or you can shift your pre-order. There is ample time to take action on what is happening here, and they never really mention what's happening with Steam pre-orders either. So that's one thing that I think is the worst about all of this, is that consumers will want to buy into the product and say, okay, Obsidian, I like what you're doing here, I'm pre-ordering it. I think less fans would have an issue with the Epic Game Store if they just decided, hey, we're doing an exclusivity deal while they announced the game, letting people know, yeah, we're not going to be on Steam, we're going on Epic right from the get-go, instead of folks putting in their pre-orders, which is fair enough. I know some people are against pre-order culture, and I understand why. I'm personally not the biggest on pre-ordering. I always say wait for reviews. But some folks get that $60 then and there and want to spend it on a game. They know that's going to be their game at that point in time when it comes out, and that's all they look forward to. Maybe they only buy 2 games a year. It makes sense from that perspective. But then those types of folks get frustrated because companies like Obsidian, like a 4A Games, like a Ubisoft with the Division 2, they pull the rug right out from under you and go, hey, we're switching Game Store. All right, come over here and just buy it again, okay? Pretty much that's all you got to do. And that gets frustrating for the consumer because they feel like they can't securely pre-order something now. So pretty much what I have to say about all this is companies who are watching this happen, I don't think a lot of the frustration comes from the launcher itself, which I imagine folks expect will improve over time. I think a lot of it comes from the spontaneous, out of the blue decision to jump onto this platform, the symbolism of greed attached to it, which, you know, companies deserve to do good, especially one like Obsidian, but seeing them almost openly chasing money can be a little off-putting at the very least. There's a lot wrong with the deal that I don't think validates the trade-off that is there, especially because the Epic Game Store has a lot of work. It really needs a lot more there. And I don't know about you guys, this is just a personal quirk of mine, so let me know if I'm alone on this, but I did get a review code for the Metro Exodus, and I'm still chipping through it. I'm in the Caspian Sea right now. And it's not that the game is bad by any means. I do enjoy it, although I'm not gripped by the story at all, pretty much. But I've noticed because it's an Epic Game Store game, I find myself like almost dissuaded to hop on it sometimes because it's almost out of the way. And I think I'm starting to understand what folks are talking about having 1,000,001 PC launchers, because that's how I feel, where it's like, all right, I could just go on my PS4 and slap in a disc, or I can go on Steam and have all my games there, but oh, I gotta sign onto my computer, I gotta open the Epic Game Store. There's some extra step about it mentally that blocks me off from wanting to sign on and play the game. Like I said, that has no impact on what I'm talking about here. It's a little quirk of mine. I just want to know if I'm alone on that. But anyway, that's the latest news update for Obsidian and the Outer Worlds. It's I don't want to say a damn shame, but it's something that I think will plague the game over time, where anything that is released about the game now, we're going to hear, oh yeah, this trailer was great, oh, this open world gameplay looked awesome, but oh, Epic Game Store every single time. But hopefully by the time this game launches, because they're announcing this here in March, and let's say that in that 4 to 6 month gap where they are going to get mod support, not saying that's how this game is made or broken, but I think it will help the game. Let's say the game is coming out in August like we had speculated based off that release date leak we had seen in the past. Then based off that roadmap, we'll have mod support pretty close to the launch of the game, which can increase some of the hype. And I imagine by the time that the Outer Worlds does come out, we may have a better version of the Epic Game Store. Fingers crossed on that. Like I said, I'm just trying to look at both sides of things here. I think there's some stuff for fans to maybe look forward to, and that the situation can change over time. But right now, when you look at it, I think all that the Epic Game Store symbolizes is bad things, and most companies should want to stay away from it if they want to preserve their public image, which I think Obsidian has really built themselves as a company off of it. I mean, hell, I think they got one of their biggest boosts when it came to Fallout 4's launch, because they just so effortlessly made what a lot of folks referred to as the objectively best Fallout game ever made. And the way they handled the PR after that, the response to it, and the same thing with how they handled the PR and the responses to the Outer Worlds, there was just a sense of cleanliness, there was a sense of respect, admirability, and I don't think all that disappears because of one business decision. I'm not that irrational, but I think it does, like I said, dissuade people and have them left a bit concerned, and rightfully so. So anyway, that's a news update for you guys. I just wanted to talk about this today. I did not expect to be talking about this at all, but I imagine the next time we'll be talking about this is probably with Borderlands 3. I feel like based off a lot of the positivity from Randy Pitchford on it on Twitter, that we will likely see that become an Epic Game Store exclusive. And don't expect this to be the last of it, man, in general, because look at those splits. That is the biggest talking point of this entire video. Those splits are gigantic, and Steam needs to close the gap there. They have plenty of money, okay? They can close the gap a little bit, even by an extra 10%, just to have some developers stay on the platform where, yeah, we're making less money, but we are having access to all these services. So that'll conclude the video. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments down below. Do fire away, ladies and gentlemen. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that, as it fuels all the content I create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.